Hello?
Good morning.
Hi,
Good
how are
morning.
you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Did you forget our number? What took so long?
Well, I was outside and it's very windy, so I had to come inside.
That's the wind tunnel. Okay. Well, you know
Katie
what?
thinking of our listeners. Thank you very
Right.
much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
maybe call Sam Amick on that one.
Oh, geez.
Better late than never. You're in New Orleans. We have some business to get out of the way before we talk basketball. Number one, Katie, we were talking about this earlier. If Jason and I, we both love New Orleans. If we were there, what we would have done yesterday when we arrived. So we have a little bit of a wager going. What did you do for dinner last night?
Oh, I grabbed a pizza from around the corner.
I think I know the pizza place. I think. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like it's called Willie's Pizza and Wings.
Yep.
You grabbed a pizza in New Orleans?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so I wasn't really up for anything elaborate.
Okay.
You had mentioned you thought maybe even room service, so at least she got
yeah,
out.
at least she got out.
Yeah.
I thought maybe room service and taxes. It's that time of year. All right. Well, we were saying maybe today we would have taken a walk, got some beignets, had a muffaletta at Central Grocery
All
or
of
Frank's at lunch. I'm guessing none of that. It's going to be in your room prepping.
Yeah, I mean, we just played New Orleans, so it's just like an update my boards type of thing. But it's incredibly, incredibly windy here today, so it's not much of a walk around type of experience.
Do you Katie, the league has done this a little bit where you stay in the same city, just you personally. You guys don't do that often. You guys were in New York for, I think, 4 days earlier this year, but to be in New Orleans for a couple days for 2 games, do you like this setup?
I think it's obviously easier in the sense of like travel and, it's easier to play the same team back to back, like for me personally, like from a prep perspective. But, when New Orleans was just in Sacramento, I was talking to Joel, who is their play-by-play guy, a great guy. And he made a point that I never thought about before. He's like, I feel like it's incredibly unfair to the fans to have 2 home back-to-back series with the same team, because you come the first night, it's like you're seeing the same team the next night. So he made a great point. Is like, what's the incentive for them to come both nights when you're playing the same team back-to-back nights? So I do think that is an interesting component. They did it originally because of COVID, right? Because of the protocols and the things that were in place. And they've kept it saying that it's easier for travel. But he goes, Dallas will come and play a back-to-back series or what? It's an hour flight. You're telling me you're cutting down on travel? Like so I don't know. I don't know that I really like it from that perspective. From the fan perspective, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But for mine, from a selfish level, it makes it a lot easier.
Katie, you want to do a lightning round here before we get into basketball? The chat is brewing with questions, and it has to do with some conversations we've been having earlier. So are you ready just to fly through some quick ones?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Your opinion on Axe body spray?
Yeah. It's fine in moderation.
Let me see your pen real quick, because I think I know the answer here. I want to play How Well Do I Know Katie? All right. Katie, are you a washcloth or loofah person?
I use the hand mitts.
Oh, game changer.
Wow. Honestly, I have heard of these too. I've seen them,
but I did not anticipate that.
No, I didn't either. But yeah, they're like loofah mitts that you put
it's
on.
A combo
and you
of all of that.
You just scrub with your hands.
Yeah.
I honestly would give those a whirl.
Yeah.
So am I correct that you're also a soap lotion type, not a bar of soap person?
The Oil of Olay body wash, yes.
Yeah, I knew it was something designer, but she's also throwback because she carries a handkerchief around.
I know. Seen.
I do.
We're trying to find some things for some nicknames for the Sabonis Jonas lineup. We've had a couple thrown in here that I haven't even told Jason yet. The Ivory Towers.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Somebody said SPF 100. I said, why? They said, because they block everything, but they don't really block anything. The Bangin' Lithuanians.
Okay.
A little bit of, okay. We're trying to find out, but what about Dojo, Domas, and Jonas?
No, that's interesting. Yeah.
And finally, and this is just to educate everybody out there, I was wondering if you might explain to people, because you're fairly worldly, what is a Mac train?
Okay, you're such a brat. A Mac train is when you're thinking of a freight train and a Mac truck at the same time, and half of each come out.
We were watching the broadcast the other night. She said something like, it hits like a Mac train. And I turned to Melissa and I go, what the hell is it?
I'm pretty sure most people understand the reference.
Who was the Mac train?
Who do you? I don't even remember.
Oh, it was Zion.
Oh,
good Lord.
How do they guard that Mac train?
How do they guard that Mac train? It's like a bullet truck. Kayte Christensen joining us.
Oh, my gosh.
So they go 0-6 against the Pelicans, and they're 2-0, but I think they've won both games by a combined 7. We, of course, I always have to say this because we're good people. We hope everything is good in CJ McCollum's life because he's out for personal reasons, or has been. I'm fine with him taking more time off because he always destroys us. But, Kayte, a 12-win Pelican team, that's fine. Am I wrong for being nervous about tonight? The Kings are favored by 5.5. I ain't buying it. They're going to have some new guys perhaps tonight show up, but Zion is he is a Mac train, and I'm worried about tonight's game, Kayte. I don't think this is going to be a rollover like a lot of people do.
No, I don't think, first of all, it's never been a great matchup. They have great length on the perimeter. They have great guard play. I haven't looked at the injury report yet this morning. But the reality is like the final couple games before the All-Star break are always brutal. Like it is a time where you can either completely still a game or two or just fall flat on your face. So I'm really hoping that they're able to come in, and it would be fantastic to go 3-0 on this road trip. I mean, that Dallas game, for them to be able to get that one was a big deal, especially because the Warriors won that night. So had the Warriors won and the Kings lost, like how the standings are right now, it would have been a complete flip, and you would have had Phoenix, I believe, go down to like 11. And it would have changed things. So if they can climb up 2 more games going into the All-Star break, it's really going to make a difference when it comes to April. And that's the thing. It's like now is where each game is like truly important and has serious repercussions when it comes to April, especially when you're in that, that block of 4 that is in the play-in position.
Kayte, I don't know if it was by, not even to say accident, but we did see the Domantas and Jonas combo, and that ironically was against the Smalls of Dallas. It worked really well. Do you think that's a lineup we see more of going forward with Doug Christie?
Yeah, I think we'll see it situationally, and it was pretty impressive that he used it in that situation because Dallas had lost Gafford. They already had their other 3 guys that could play at that position out with injury. So they had no bigs. I mean, they were playing Kessler Edwards at the 5. But I think because of the size of some of their perimeter players, that going with a equally like small lineup, if you will, was not beneficial for the Kings. So what I loved about it is he went with the double big lineup. And what that did is when they trapped Kyrie in that high pick and roll out by half court, that's a long way for that center to recover and get to the rim to be able to contest and be able to rebound at the rim as well. And so when Domas was up trapping, JV was down at the rim, and it completely took away what they were looking for. So I thought it was a brilliant job by Doug to go to that lineup because it really helped them when they were trying to be aggressive and blitz that pick and roll with Kyrie and get the ball out of his hands. So I imagine, we see a lot of pick and roll. There's a lot of guards, like lead guards in this league, that you really do need to double team them and trap them off the pick and roll action. So I think that, with very little practice time, they hadn't even practiced that with that lineup. I think that is something that we'll probably see going forward, specifically in those situations where they got a lead guard that they just really need to get the ball out of their hands.
Kayte, I'm going to ask you the same thing we asked Monty McNair yesterday. You have Keon Ellis on the bench, probably the team's best defender, if not Keegan Murray, who's a starter. Domas is I think it's safe to say a plus defender, but he's not, all world. DeRozan, Monk, and Levine try their best. So you're not talking about a starting lineup filled with great individual defenders. And we talked about how Doug was on the 0-2 Kings, in which they led the league in opposing field goal percentage, and that was with Bibby, Divac, Weber, and Peja, who aren't traffic cones but aren't that far off. How does this team, in your opinion, how do they become, if they're not going to be great individual defenders, how do they become good at team defending? Because that seems like the biggest question now that the depth has been addressed.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? Like I think Trey Lyles is by far our best team defender. He is always where he needs to be. He's always on a string. He's communicating really well, and he is someone that you can trust behind you, right? When you don't have the vision behind you. And so I think a lot of having a great five out there on the floor that plays well together as a team is really, really more about trust than anything, and just knowing that not only is the guy on the ball going to do what he's supposed to in terms of, whatever the scout is, like make him go left, make him go right, don't let him go middle, and know that there's someone behind you that is going to be there on time, right? And to me, a lot of it is just time together on the floor. And I think a lot of the thing too is, and this has always been my stance on defense, defense is 100% effort based. It is not about being some freakishly skilled lockdown defender. It's about making sure that the game scout in terms of each individual player tendencies, communicating, and effort. So I don't know. I don't know what the ceiling is for this group. Obviously, the starting five has changed. They've had some light practice here on the road. So I don't, and that's the tough thing about it is it's not like they're going to have some practices in the All-Star break period, but there's not going to be a lot of practice going forward. So it's almost like their capabilities and what they're able to do is based on, okay, maybe the off season and training camp next year. But that group that you talk about from Doug's days, they were together a long time, Dave. And I think that goes a long way on that end as well.
Offensively, Katie, when you have De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan, there's two great closers. Well, obviously De'Aaron's gone. You still have a great closer. We saw him close with the game-tying hoop in regulation, then the game-winning hoop in overtime. I know they've got more people that can do it, but is this going to kind of be in close games? This is the spot why you've got a guy like DeMar DeRozan. Are you comfortable with him being the guy that has the ball last now going forward?
Yeah, 100%. And I think Malik is also a really great clutch player as well. And I think that comes to the situation of the game, like who has it going. Like DeMar came out super, super aggressive in that game. He had a really slow first half against New Orleans in the final game before we started on this trip in Sacramento. And he took one field goal. He had 2 points. They were at the free throw line. He had, I think, 10 points in the second half or 11 points in the second half. So, I think that it also can be based on situation of who's got it going in that particular game. But I think more times than not, it's going to be DeMar and then probably Malik.
Kayte Christensen joined. Sorry, you stopped abruptly. I was not prepared. Katie's joining us right now. What did I want to ask you? I just had... Katie, according to reports, De'Aaron Fox has unfollowed Domantas Sabonis on Instagram. Your thoughts?
You're kidding me, right?
No, he really did. Oh, you're saying
really
you're saying am I really asking you that? I don't. The way things these days, it's so funny with everything over the last couple of weeks that's gone on. The way things get disseminated by people and in the media. Like, first off, I didn't even know any of them followed each other, but like that's like a legit thing. There's like actual websites and Twitter accounts that check to see who is and who isn't following somebody. And I think as we deal with the aftermath of all that, I want to follow up with on what Jason said about DeRozan. I'm not trying to make a case that trading De'Aaron Fox is good or bad. We've already litigated that. But in your mind, could one of the positives out of Fox not being here and talking about DeMar DeRozan that it's fairly clear now who is the clutch guy, the go-to guy, the offensive guy, that maybe, I don't want to say there was confusion, but it's certainly a lot less confusing now whose hands you want that ball in late in games.
Yeah, I think probably, I think that's probably something that you can say. But I think even with when De'Aaron was here, I think it was clear that De'Aaron was the guy. And we saw a couple games where it kind of split. I think it was an overtime game, and like De'Aaron scored DeMar scored the first 8 points of overtime, and De'Aaron scored the second 8 points of overtime. So, I mean, I don't know. This is like one of those things where it's like De'Aaron is gone, and this team has to figure out their identity going forward. And clearly DeMar is someone, I think I saw something the other night, like he has more fourth quarter points than anybody in the NBA in like the last 10 years or something like that. It's absurd. Like
last decade, most clutch points of anyone. Yep.
Yeah. He's clearly, very respected and seasoned in that realm.
Well, the All-Star break's coming for you too. What's this is the time, like finally a break. You just getting away from basketball?
She already laughed.
Just gonna be home. Gonna be home with kids and basketball practice and swim practice and catch up on stuff. Taxes. Hopefully finish those off and just take care of some life things and get some rest. Hopefully.
Did you see my son cutting down the nets yesterday? Did you wake up yet enough to see that he was cutting down nets because they won section?
I did not.
All right, just sent you the picture.
Yeah.
Mason's cutting down the nets, and Avery was
very cool for Mason.
Yeah, very much. Avery was conducting the band last night. Hey, can I ask you a Survivor question or no?
Sure.
Okay, and I want to be in all seriousness, audience. I want to be really, really careful here because I love Kayte, and as much as I mess with her, I don't want to get her in trouble. So, Kayte, feel free to answer this in any way, which also includes not answering it. I knew somebody that was on Survivor years and years and years ago through a friend, and they went into detail with me about like the insane amount of things everyone has to sign to keep everything under wraps and a secret, and the insane amount of penalties that would get dropped.
Yeah.
Do they still do that? I imagine as hardcore.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Like to the point where like you almost, it's like I want to ask you stuff once the show starts.
I'm pretty sure that he signed off our daughter. Like that was like they get her if he says anything. Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't even want to know what she had to sign. But Jason, it was something like it's like this giant NDA everybody had to sign, and it was like not only was it like this massive fine, like huge fine, but then you also like forego any winnings, like it's basically like we're not saying we'll kill you, but we're going to take you on a long drive in the woods, dude. So that I would imagine you're excited about this debut coming up in a couple weeks, but I also imagine by the time it's over, I've never been pregnant before, but my wife used to tell me in the 9th month, I just want this baby out. Like, I imagine it's going to be similar where you're just going to also kind of be happy to be able to talk about it.
Yeah. And for the, like, how it finishes to, to know, right? Like to know how it finishes and be able to talk about it. It's just even waiting for them to drop the cast, like to confirm. We had kind of like a going away party before he left during the summer. And we just couldn't tell anybody like where he was going, like what he was doing. And like one of my friends, it's a mom at the school, when the thing dropped, she's like, "Oh my God, like I thought rehab, but no, we were celebrating with, wine. And so it wasn't rehab." And then I was like, is she in the CIA? Like she had all these wild things. And she's like, "I never thought about something like this. And it never occurred to me that people would be really left to these wild ideas of like what he could be doing for however long."
Well, I guess we'll end the interview this way, based on all of that. How specifically well does he do, and how does it end? Please go into detail.
We're really excited for the season to start.
Good answer. Good answer.
Excellent answer.
She was ready for that. She knows you.
That is Kings analyst.
Are you running for office?
That's Kings analyst Kayte Christensen. You can see her on the broadcast tonight. Tip off at 5 from New Orleans. Feel better. I'm sure you've brought several of your bandana handkerchiefs with you. And if you can, please do get out at some point and enjoy some sort of New Orleans food so you can text us and we can be jealous. Pictures are accepted.
I've been to New Orleans like 50 million times.
I've been to New Orleans a bunch too. It's still, the muffulettas still taste good every time. The gumbo at the gumbo shop is amazing. Commander's Palace. Oh my God. The turtle soup. Come on, Kayte.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll leave you with that.
With what?
You salivating over.
Oh, I thought you were leaving. Okay, I got you. All right. Hey, have a great time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. She's like, I'm done.
I don't care if I went to New Orleans every weekend, dude. I cannot. Maybe it's possible. Maybe if you lived there for a long time, I can't imagine New Orleans food getting old.
Yeah.
I can't. There's too much. Oh, I've had too much gumbo.
Go get there and get the ball there.
Go for the sandwiches. Oh, no, you know what? I'll have a po' boy. Oh, here's some more Gulf shrimp. Oh, here, I'll go over here to Dookie Chase, some of the best fried chicken in the entire world. Yeah. Oh, this I'm a little weird with crawfish. I'm not going to lie. No, it's the whole sucking the heads thing. And,
yeah, I got it.
And then it just, when you get the tail out, it's just like a little shrimp. It's just too much.
Too much work.
It is too much work. It is. And it's like, and somebody once said that they said like lobsters and crabs and crawfish are like, they're all like the insects of the sea, which is like true. I get that. But crawfish is the only one where I really kind of feel like I'm eating a bug. Like I can fake myself out with the other stuff. The crawfish, it does. It feels like you're eating a sea bug, and I don't want a sea bug. We'll take a break. When we come back, Kings and Pelicans tonight. We'll